Welcome. Today is Sunday, the 27th of June. This is a Stream Team Studio exclusive. Live in the studio, we have my good self, Eric McAlpine from the UK, Bojidar Iliev, aka Boja from Bulgaria, Gian Lazzaro Sana from Italy, and our special guest today is Derek Schiemann from Germany. This special broadcast is to showcase the magnificent players that have qualified for the best of the best, a collaboration between the WBIF Stream Team. And without further ado, I would like to invite into the studio Bojo and Gian Lazzaro. Hi, guys.
Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Eric, Gian Lazzaro. Hi, Dirk, and hello all the viewers.
Hi, and now our special guest, Dirk Schiemann.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Hi, good to see you. How's everything?
Yeah, everything's good. Still working on my book, but almost finished, so I'm really glad that that is almost done.
We look forward to that. We always like when new material, especially nowadays, comes into the marketplace for the backgammon community. So yes, we look forward to seeing your book released. We have a few nice questions for you. Here's the first one. How is it for you being back in the backgammon world again?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it's totally different than when I first started 30 years ago. Of course, no big surprise, but yeah, I feel very comfortable in this new climate, which is a little bit less gambling and more sports-like, I would say, if you compare it to back in the day.
Yes, sure. And some say that in the past, the players were more talented and that now the higher level comes mostly with the bot's help. What do you think?
I wouldn't. I don't totally agree because I think, like in every sports, it's certainly talent helps, and there's also a lot of hard work needed. But as soon as the bots appeared, I mean, in my time, it was Jellyfish and Snowy. You could make a great progress by working hard. So in that sense, maybe when there was when there were no computer programs and no real objective answer to backgammon questions, then you might say a great feeling for the game and the players. You really needed a great feeling for the game to be at the top, but still, yeah, it's a mixture, right? I'm not complete. I mean, I think everybody that is on top, who is on top now, has also a lot of talent, and it's just. I don't feel like that you don't need talent, that you just have to play like the bots and be the greatest, or if you just know, if you see how the bots play, it's still so hard to copy it without having any talent. So how do you copy it? I mean, when you don't have a feeling for the game. So I think you need still a lot of intuition, and of course, it's easier now to get to the top. It's faster, but people who want to get to the top still have to have a lot of talent, I think.
Okay, thanks for that, Derek. And when and how did you start playing backgammon?
Yeah, I started out as a boy, like 7, 8 years old. I learned the game and had a lot of fun playing, but then there was just no way of really continuing the backgammon career. So like many, I ended up at chess and in a chess club. And then, well, when I was 18, by coincidence, I got my hands on the Griel's book, and I was so fascinated that I studied a lot, and I was also lucky enough that at that time some local regional tournaments nearby started, were organized, and I could play some competitions. And also another luck factor, I was reasonably successful in the very beginning, and then that gives you an additional motivation boost. So, and then bit by bit, I started to go to bigger tournaments. And yeah, in hindsight, looking backward, I would say lots of lucky coincidences, since in that time, backgammon didn't have any infrastructure. There was no online play, so you had to just. I think many got there just by some coincidences, and I did so too.
Sure. And have you ever played regularly at a backgammon club in Germany?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about infrastructure. I think there still are no clubs where people meet like on a weekly basis. Maybe there are some, but they are not close by. So this club structure simply doesn't exist in Germany. It's always like small regional tournaments where players meet, but yeah, not enough infrastructure, which is really bad and should be improved upon, I think.
Sure. And do you have a backgammon tournament in your travels that you will never forget?
Oh, many of them, because in the beginning, like 25 years ago, I also combined backgammon tournaments with vacations. So I chose places that I really would like to go. So I played a tournament in Rio de Janeiro. That was great. That I was also lucky enough to win. So that's, of course, a very nice experience. And then, of course, my first Costa Rica tournament in '97. That was a great experience. And also through this tournament, in the end, I got to know my wife, so that's certainly a special thing. So yeah, that was some.
Very nice. We like that. Very, very nice indeed. Yes. And previously, when you were in the studio with us, you mentioned you like shorter matches. Do you like the format for the best of the best event?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, at least it's. I think it's great for the spectators because there is a lot more action. So 5 to 7 point matches are just a lot more dynamic, and also I think you have way more match specific situations in those shorter matches where some very strange things may happen that you don't see in money games. So that's also, I think, educational, I would say.
Yeah, very, very nice indeed. Bojo, do you have anything you would like to ask?
Hi, Dirk. I would like to ask, what average PR total would surprise you for all the 7 contests that will be played on the Best of the Best tournament?
Do you mean the average PR of all players together?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
all matches, all players, well, if you look, first of all, I have to think if 5-point matches are a little bit easier to play than the regular matches, 11, 13, that are where the ranking is based upon. I think I would, of course, be really happy if the overall PR would be below 3. That would be great. And I think that is achievable if everybody is up to their game. I will try my best. Of course, I cannot guarantee it that I will play below 3, but I will hope so. That is what I expect from me. And since the other players are about my level, so then I'm really hopeful to maybe, we will see an overall average below 3 would be great.
Okay, great. Anything else, Boja?
I have one more question which I would like to ask at the very end, so probably we can go to John
Okay.
Lazaro.
Yeah, Jen Lazaro, do you have anything you would like to ask?
Yes. Playing backgammon as a professional player, where does income come from? Tournament prizes, money games, teaching, or what else?
Depending on when you were a professional, I would say. Right now I'm like a half professional. I have other incomes and I generate some backend income by teaching. So that is right now. And of course I go to tournaments and I hope that I have positive equity, but I haven't played a money game session for significant stakes in 20 years, I think. So that for me, at least personally, that hasn't happened recently. So, and back in the day, it was, everything was based around money games. I mean, there was no teaching, or at least for me. And of course, tournament equity for sure was positive, but then you had all the expenses. So I don't think anybody could have made a living just from tournament equity. Also, I think nowadays that's impossible too. So tournament equity might be positive, but then when you deduct all the expenses of a live tournament, even for the best players, equity-wise, there shouldn't be much left. And so the way it worked for me was simply, okay, you had this tournament equity, and then you had all the side games. So even if you lost in the first round, that gave you even more time for side games, and there was just a lot of action, even betting on positions, and there was always something going on. So that was like the main source of income. And then the internet backend started, and I played on some servers, and that was just also pure playing for money. And now for me, it has shifted completely to teaching and maybe a little bit of tournament equity. I was lucky enough to win some tournaments, but I think I overperformed my equity, so I would say it's still not great even for the best players, tournament equity with expenses. But you have nice vacations, at least financed by your tournaments.
Okay, thank you. And is it important to adapt your move and the cube decision to your opponent's strength?
Absolutely. I mean, I think maybe some people overdo it, but there are clearly spots where I try to do where I try to exploit my opponent's tendencies. When I get a feeling, for example, that my opponent is a little bit afraid of taking a gammonish position, that's the standard. So then that's a clear sign for me to double, even if I'm not convinced that the position is a correct double, because the opponent may pass. So there's certainly some aspects of it. Or when I play a weaker player, I mean, it's a good thing to try to look for complicated positions, not try to convert too easily into raise positions. But the problem, even for the stronger player in general, if you overdo it, you get confused and then you play worse yourself. And so you have to be careful trying to take advantage of a weaker opponent, and especially when there's a PR competition, when you have the PR component, then basically what can you do? You have to try to play your lowest PR and not focus so much on what your opponent does. Luckily, in PR competitions, the opposition is so strong that you should avoid looking for exploitative plays anyway, because everybody is so strong, so they are just the weaker players.
Very interesting. Thank you, Dirk.
Thank you, Jean Lazaro. And over to you, Bojo.
Okay, Dirk, since nowadays the world is football, finally we have the big event, and then we have the fans back to the stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question to you. Which team is going to win the Football Euro 2020?
Oh, yeah, that's a question where I'm divided between heart and mind, rational and feeling, of course. I'm rooting for the German team, but and they have a strong team, but they definitely have some weaknesses. So I'm not so sure about them. So my mind tells me I shouldn't bet too much money on Germany. So that said, I mean, you have always the usual suspects like France or Belgium is super strong. Spain, yeah, they had now one decent game. So yeah, it's Italy. Italy is great, playing a different style from back in the day. So they playing a lot more attractive football. So I think they have a great chance as well. But in the end, it's like even in football, if you compare it to backgammon, there are some key scenes that in the end decide the game. Does the ball hit the post, and or does it go in? So some key moments, or like when the game ends up in a penalty kick duel, then it's just you have also this X factor, this random factor. So it's a little bit comparable to backgammon, because you certainly also have this luck component as well in a way.
Well, imagine you have €1 and you want to bet it on the champion. Who is going to bet you on?
Okay, €1. I mean, so I could bet on anybody. Sorry, let me. Yeah. Or there's still another factor. I would bet on either France or Italy. I think France, Italy, or Belgium. I didn't know, but they are all in the more difficult half now in the draw. So there's also a factor. So it's really confusing to me, because whoever wins between Germany and England, I forgot to mention England. Sorry, Eric. But it just feels like England somehow always some accident happens. But and in '66 I wasn't alive, so I couldn't. So England is also there, but so now there's the situation: England and Germany. The winner has really good chances to get into the finals, because they are in the weaker half, supposedly weaker half. So yeah, probably I cannot bet on England because they play Germany. I cannot do that. So again, sorry, Eric. So I would maybe bet even on Italy or Belgium. France somehow won't make it. They didn't convince me. So I would either bet on Italy or Belgium.
Thank you, Dirk.
All right. I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't spend my €1 on England either. So we're both in the same. We're both in the same thoughts there.
Yeah,
sure.
But it's just feels always something goes wrong with them. At least in the last 55 years it happened. Maybe this. I mean, every series is bound to end, so maybe
It will do,
yeah.
but it comes down to one simple word:
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Okay. Anyhow, let's hope for a good game in Wembley between the two.
It's going to be good, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap things up. A big thank you to our special guest, Grandmaster Dirk Schiemann. Big thank you to Jan-Lazaro Sana and to Boja. And do keep an eye on future presentations via YouTube and Facebook. And do keep an eye on the Best of the Best tournament. And we look forward to welcoming you the next time. Be there or be square. Ciao, bye.